Elise gets taken out away. They don't want to let Cuz have that champion. And the ability of Elise to make those early dives is just so obnoxious for laners to deal with. If you get low, you know she's going to pry on your lane. And if the gank is successful, then your lane is practically over. Such a strong early game champion, really used quite effectively in the hands of Cuz, and making sure that he doesn't get that pick a second time is the right move for KT.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, towards Cuz. Interesting that they ban it first on blue side, because if Score wanted to play it, they could potentially try to go for a dive like Khan and Cuz tried to do on the blue side in the last game, but it seems like they just want to avoid it entirely. They don't have any plans of picking it, so better to take it away. We do see Karma banned, Kennen, very common bans here. Also the Zac, we haven't seen him have any play so far. 5 bans in all 5 games that we've had here in LCK Summer so far.
Don't expect anybody to be able to play Zac until he's nerfed. I mean, if it goes through, it's got to be a mistake, a misban. The champion is just so busted right now. And Syndra being taken out again, just a super strong control mage that offers so much for the team that you just can't let anybody get their hands on that pick. And Lulu will be that first pick for KT. It can be a flex pick for Pawn, most likely a support on the hands of Mata, however.
Wayne, oh, pray. Not sure what that means.
They want him to win.
Something about Prey, something good, no doubt. He had a pretty fantastic Ashe game, and I'm kind of surprised that he's going to get to play it again.
It's a really great pick. It's been the first pick for lots of games before this one. The ability of Ashe to not only engage for the team, but also provide DPS if her positioning is correct is really powerful. You know, sometimes when Ashes seem useless, it's because their position is a little bit too far back or a little bit too forward. We saw last game where Ashes would be too far back, have to flash into the game, and that just doesn't work. But Prey, I mean, he's been playing Ashe just as long as he's been playing Twitch, as long as he's been playing Ezreal, and he's got them all down.
Yeah, seems like he's found that sweet spot for Ashe, and he had a very fantastic game in game 1. Again, surprised that he was just able to be handed it over. I guess KT really feels like Lulu is strong enough to first pick that instead. And we do have the Graves coming in here, and will it be the Xayah?
It gets hovered over, and we haven't seen anybody troll us with a hover, so it will be the Xayah get locked in. And that could be Xayah, Lulu in the bottom lane. Lots of CC and lots of nuisance for trying to kill that champion when she can move extra fast and then get out of trouble, not only with her ultimate, but with the wild growth coming out of Lulu.
Hovering the Thresh now is Longju. It definitely adds a lot of CC if you're looking to burst someone specifically. I would have to guess that would be Lulu. That's who you want to go on to, because if you get deft on the Xayah, you can be easily wild growth to survive until he himself could ult and eventually get away being untargetable. But definitely a lot of CC down in the bot lane. It looks like Praying Gorilla want to go aggressive again.
Every time you have Ashe and Thresh, you know there's going to be action happening, and Lee Sin to add to the mix. When that level 6 hits against a squishy tank in the bottom lane, or a squishy lineup in the bottom lane, it's always just begging for kills, and Fiora does get back again, but this time it's going to be against Khan. Interesting.
Giving him a lot of credit to play those carries top already.
Well, they do have that counter pick, and they don't want to let Khan get counter pick for a top lane if KT chooses to go for a tank in the top lane. So getting rid of the pick already, not a huge deal. It makes a lot of sense, and you can even blind Fiora at this stage of the game. The Doran shield is so obnoxious to try to deal with early on that you can really get by that early stages where it's usually her most exploitable phase.
A little bit slow on the bans for the 5th bans for both of these teams. Rumble into Taliyah. So giving Smeb credit for the Rumble top. They don't want to hand that over. BDD, he looks pretty good on the control mage of Orianna, so I'm sure they will give him credit for playing Taliyah as well.
Exactly, and the Taliyah just would be so synergistic with what Longju have crafted so far with Ashe, Lee Sin, and Thresh. It just means pour everything into the bottom lane, but instead, they're just going to give Khan that Jarvan once more. Oh, no. Orianna once more for BDD, and he had a great game on it. You can easily blind this champion, and against short-range champions such as what KT have so far without any engage, it's going to be quite difficult to get onto this pick.
Yeah. Definitely like this instead. You give Khan that counter pick, as you were saying. And will KT actually pick up the Galio this time? will be the first time we see it here in LCK Summer on the first day, and Smeb will be playing that Galio.
But they still don't have anybody to the mix to allow Galio to hit the backline the way he's supposed to. So this last pick might just have to be something along those lines. Maybe even an Ari that would make some sense, and it will be a Fizz. So great idea there. You need somebody to dive the backline, and if a Fizz has damage reduction and is in your backline, that's going to be a pain in the ass to deal with.
That's such a huge nuisance. I hate when Fizzes just stomp all over your team. Is Pawn the guy to do it? I mean, he's more so known for those control mages sticking back, playing more of a solid backline mid laner, but on the Fizz this time, he's going to have to show up big.
I feel like Pawn's the kind of player that you wonder, can he do it? And somehow he does what nobody thinks he can do. He's just a quiet, reserved mid laner that somehow shows up when you need him to. And it is a game one. It is opening up the entire season, so there could still be some jitters, some nerves, some lack of understanding of the patch or the meta. So you can always give these teams a little bit of leeway if they make mistakes or trip over themselves early on.
It's an interesting arm motion that Smeb just made there. He's like, hey guys, let's cook up a bunch of stew. Or he's like, hey guys, let's really stir up the game. I don't really know exactly what he's trying to say, but definitely opportunities to do stuff like that, to go really, really deep with the Fizz Galio.
And it's a great pick into Orianna, because if you hit Fish, if you get ahead, Fizz Graves will easily tear her down. However, as long as you can also answer back with the Orianna, which will have an easy time into Fizz early on if Lee Sin gives her the attention. So we're going to need to see both these junglers fight for heavy control in the mid lane, because if you can prevent Fizz from using his abilities to jump onto Orianna, then she gets to have the harass advantage. She gets to play as up as she wants, and Fizz will just have to sit under the turret, farm slowly, and get harassed, whittled down, and Orianna, the later the game goes, the stronger she gets as a team fighter.
Definitely a huge amount of focus onto Cuz this time. Khan was the guy that stepped it up big for Longju, because he has to have presence in the bot lane to set up kills with Ashe Thresh, but also he has to help the Orianna in the mid lane against the Fizz. So we'll see if he can pull it off, or will the more veteran style of the KT roster lineup pull through for game number 2? Let's jump into the Rift and find out.
I still can't find the source of the yelling.
I see you looking around like, who is it? Who's the one? Who's starting the cheer?
Who's getting paid? Nothing crazy, level 1, the standard 5-point formation. It's devolved from mid laners dancing in front of each other in the mid lane to both standing in the entrances to the bottom quadrant of the jungle. So, in the end, everybody just stares each other down. Just a classic standard opening. I kind of miss the days where level 1s would kind of dictate the game.
Yeah.
And you'd wait around all year long for one matchup, all to be ruined by one fancy level 1.
Yeah, everybody remembers going through the J-Skate up into the top tri-brush.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely a very controversial point in League of Legends history for sure. But, yeah, don't really get to see that all too often unless MVP's playing with Blitzcrank. But every once in a while you see some small skirmishes down in the bot lane, but not much else.
And this is what you want to see in the jungle. Your top laner helps you out, even though you're starting in the side that is opposite to his lane. Just so noble, such a gentleman, especially in that Galio skin.
Look at Pawn. He's like, I don't want any poke damage onto me level 1. All I want is the XP. I'm just not even going to get near that lane. And you were talking about the early levels of Ori versus Fizz. Definitely can put on that pressure. But once the Fizz hits 6, there's so much Graves is anywhere around. They definitely can set up that kill. Right now in solo queue, Fizz is nearly permabanned. I mean, I see it banned all the time.
Well, he's a very strong pick in solo queue because the lack of coordination and peeling is so apparent that he can just always dive the backline and really come out not only with a kill, but alive as well.
So Pawn looking to have a superstar performance on this Fizz. See if it works out.
So take a look at the way that BDD is playing the map. He wards the right side of the jungle, so he knows that he can play towards that side and will not be ganked on it. Plays to the side that he has vision, and the only route that Score can really have is going to be around him, but because BDD's path is so close to the right-hand side, going for a gank would just be such a difficult move to pull off that instead he just chooses to farm, and the advantage continues to grow for BDD. Already a bit of a CS lead being developed.
So Score are going to come in here cheekily, steal a bunch of the Raptors, even gets the big one away from Cuz. And as Graves, you can clear those Raptors so fast, and if you know where the enemy jungler is, it's so easy to just go in there and steal them real quick. That is what we got to see.
17. Yeah, that's going to be probably about 6 CS going the way of BDD over Pawn. And if he can just keep that up for a couple of more minutes, might be able to get a good item back advantage over Fizz. And that's the kind of play that you have to be making that is so slow, but at the same time, just so important in getting ahead in these matchups against the Assassins.
It seems like Pawn isn't doing all too bad in terms of sticking around in lane. He still has 2 charges of the Corrupting Pot. Seems like he's playing it very passive, but still picking up a decent amount of CS given the matchup here.
Meantime, Score plays around that pressure, will be going towards the bottom side, securing that Scuttle Crab. Gank bottom, likely not happen here, and Longju's bottom lane probably not going to extend themselves. And there's not too crazy of a follow-up or a setup there from KT, so they're happy to just farm away and wait for the 5-man group, because Galio in the late game, Galio in just at any point is so impossible to deal with that they're just happy that they have that pick. And if Pawn can get to a nice point where he can split push in 1-3-1 and there's nobody to answer, then that's where KT is going to be more than happy to play the game out.
Cuz just strolled through about 3 different wards, so they know exactly where he is, but he's still getting aggressive. Maybe a little bit tilted after having all of his Raptors stolen, but still Score will win the...
Oh my god, such a big wave being harassed by BDD. 41 CS to 26 is so obnoxious to deal with. This is a matchup that, it's just so favored in Orianna when the junglers get tracked out, and it's a great move from Cuz. He might not be tilted from the move, however, as long as he can find Score, it means that BDD can play aggressively. And when you're playing like this as a jungler, you know that you can sacrifice yourself for the benefit of the team composition. As Lee Sin, kick is really what you can offer post mid-game, whereas Orianna brings so much more to the table that putting resources into somebody that can make the most out of it is a great way of going about playing the map.
That's a really cool point that you bring up. And just kind of Cuz being a living ward for the Orianna to just continuously put on the pressure.
That's just a jungler that gets... You basically get subdued into being the team slave.
Yeah. The living ward that, funnily enough, is blind, but still works out somehow.
Even Pina was forced to start warding on his transition to SKT.
Yeah. Here he's doing pretty well over there at SKT. Here it's working out for him.
What isn't working out for SKT?
Well, we're going to get to see Samsung versus SKT as one of the big matchups in LCK Summer really quickly. I think it's either tomorrow or Thursday over at OGN.
I believe it is tomorrow.
Tomorrow, so definitely check that match out tomorrow, guys. And, I mean, I was expecting KT to come into this one and have a pretty good shot against the kind of not as experienced lineup of Longju, but Longju's making it interesting for sure.
Thing is, they have to always respect Longju, and they did bring in subs from KT to try to start teaching some new players on the way that they are approaching the game, but I think if they felt truly confident about going into this matchup, they would have played at least one of them. So starting the entire lineup, making sure that they have maximized the chances against Longju, gives them enough respect to say, hey, you know what, even though these guys could be new, we still have to play our best.
Look at the setup from Gorilla. They're expecting a potential engage from Pawn. If that happens, I mean, having Gorilla there is going to make things so much easier for BDD. They're really playing around this Orianna in mid lane.
They really just want to get the fish out, because if the fish... Oh, nice move there. So good.
Cool. Oh, that's so beautiful.
You get the fish out and you just buy so much time because that's what it does. Now there's no way that they can gank Orianna. There is no CC, there is no setup, which means that she has about 2 minutes to just keep playing as aggressively as she wants and keep building that CS lead, which is already at 16.
She has both of her summoners still too. Shockwave. She's got Barrier, Flash, and the Shockwave. She's going to have a wonderful time in mid lane from now on.
Loving what KT's or Longju's bringing to the table here. They're trying to go for a counter invade, but Smeb does have too much pressure in the top side. The Galio matchup a little bit better than the Gragas for Smeb here, and Khan will have to base here. Might have to burn his teleport to get back into the lane.
It's kind of funny to see Galio doing so much damage, but triple Doran's Ring, and he just does a lot of damage just on the base damage from all of his abilities. And having that extra AP, you can see that damage. Oh man, they use the ultimate here on the Xayah just to avoid the hook. Oh, and they're going to set this up onto Pawn. He just disappears as the Shockwave will pick up first blood for BDD in the mid lane.
And the matchup is just played so well by Longju. I'm so impressed by the way that they're playing around mid lane, understanding the spikes that Fizz wants to look for, the times where he wants to play aggressive, and having not only the vision, but the body vision accordingly. Longju sending the jungler over, sending the support, making sure that BDD gets the start that he wants, and he'll get to a point where Fizz is just going to be very useless and will not be able to 1v1 Orianna in the side lane.
It's giving me chills just thinking about it. I mean, they saw the composition from KT, they saw what they were going to play around, and they're just dominating them at every single place here. I mean, Pawnee tries to go on in, and he just gets destroyed.
And that's the thing, he doesn't have Chum the Waters. That was the play that Gorilla came into the mid lane to make sure that he didn't have it. And Pawn really just trying to make something happen, uses his playful Trickster instead to engage. And when you blow your only defense to get into the fight, then you're most certainly going to be taken out for a 1-for-1 at the very least.
Motto wanted to deny that recall from Cuz. Does get hooked, but doesn't seem like Longju's confident to engage there.
Oh, Khan.
Oh, that goes over to Smeb.
That's risky.
And he's in a really awkward spot. Some of the Waters just miss.
Oh, so
and here
lucky
comes
that
BDD. No knockup onto Smeb, but they're still fighting here. Again, Fizz is pretty useless at this point. Will use the blasting plant to get away. And actually, Longju will just back off. A pretty safe play. They win the trade, and they want to return to mid lane.
And they buy some time for Longju in the top side because Galio is now forced to recall, and Jarvan can just go straight to the top lane, start pushing this wave again, and deny a little bit of CS on their way there.
Khan, immense focus in the booth. Staying even with the Galio top.
Now some action perhaps going into the mid lane, Orianna and Thresh, or Lulu and Thresh being in the bottom side, waiting around for something to happen in the mid lane. And Lulu gets spotted out. Nothing happens, just Wingy's out.
He's just desperately trying to get any farm, and he loses half his health from one combo of Orianna.
74 CS to 103, 1 level advantage, still no Chum the Waters. Will have to most likely burn TP to get back into the lane, and things are looking really good for Longju this time around. If they can use this advantage to get a Mountain Dragon out of all things as the first dragon, then if they can continue laning this well into mid lane, BDD will be able to take down that turret by himself.
I just love the way they played around that mid lane, just knowing exactly what KT was going to do, and essentially putting all of the resources into making sure that the Orianna just totally destroyed that matchup. Now KT, they're looking to set up their own little play here. Looks like BDD was just coming over here to pick up the blue, but because he did rotate down to the blue, Score and Smeb were not able to set up the pick. BDD also still has his flash and barrier, so.
And BDD is going to be going for a Banshee's Veil as a first item. And if you're Fizz, how the hell do you engage onto Orianna now? Your fish is not going to catch on. You're going to open up with a playful Trickster again. It's a really intelligent itemization here for BDD, and I don't see what Pawn's going to be able to do here. Another Chum the Waters does miss.
I mean, that's supposed to be used to pick up kills. Right now, he's just missing. And,
oh,
that was cute, but at the same time, in comes Khan. And, well, you're not going to get away from that after you used all of your cooldowns. So, again, Longju just feeding on the fish in the mid lane.
Poor Pawn having one of those patents hit Pawn games. Sometimes they're amazing, sometimes they're not so amazing. And this time around, falling behind 40 CS, and that's going to be the tier 1 mid lane being taken out. And Longju poised for greatness in this game. First brick going down to BDD.
They're going to share it with Cuz, too. They don't even give all the money over to BDD. Maybe, you know, Cuz being that living ward, it pays off. Now we have a fight in the bot lane. There's the root onto Gorilla, but the heal will get him to safety. Both Deft and Motto were pretty low after all that and didn't want to stick around.
Deceptive timing on Zaya's ultimate there on when she comes down, and so the hook does go wide. Perhaps if it connected, a heal might have been prompted from KT, but instead Prey does burn his own to get Gorilla out of that situation, but not much else. A heal, not such a big deal for that Mountain Dragon. If this team recalls now, if you let the recall go through, this Dragon could be Longju's.
Looks like Prey denied Deft's recall there. Motto was smart enough to go back to the turret recall. Prey will recall himself now. No action at the Dragon just yet.
I like what Longju's doing here first. They know that the people recall. They're clearing out the vision, making sure that they can see what's going on. And even Khan is making his way down towards the mid lane to be as close as possible to any reaction that might be prompted by KT trying to stop this Dragon.
Seems like KT just going to give that one up. They are really looking to make a play onto Khan. Smeb did have his flash taunt, but they do not want to commit. And this means finally we have a Herald play.
Herald's being taken out, and there's nobody here to contest. Junglers can solo this out. He doesn't do much damage.
You just got to dodge the abilities.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
Especially when you're Graves.
Yeah. Use that dash to hit her right in the eye. Poor girl.
Oh my God, hit her in the back eye.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about, Crumbs.
No,
never heard anything like that.
Literally, just take it as literally as it was meant to be said. He is hitting her in her back eye.
Yeah, that's what scores do. Able to pick up that Rift Herald. We will finally see some kind of big play happening on the map here with this.
So he's got 4 minutes to use this. What lane will KT choose to go for? Because if they can just wave clear, then Herald doesn't really accomplish a whole lot. But if they can win a fight, get some time onto a turret by themselves, then it will make a big difference. Just some cute trading there from Smeb back and forth. Prey taking a little bit more of unnecessary damage, getting hit by that knockup, and some moves from Longju, trying to go for maybe the Galio, but target is quite tanky.
They got 4 members down here. Maybe they're just looking to rotate into from Galio. Makes that pretty much impossible. So in they come into mid lane. Definitely a lot of vision being taken away. Double control ward. You're looking to get onto Pawn. Pawn will jump his way out.
Now they have to track where score goes. Anywhere that score shows will be a sign of Herald. And if they can just nullify that objective, then that means that that mid lane turret basically was traded for nothing.
Mata and Def poking their head in. They want to find these Longju members, looking to collapse, but they cannot get anyone. Will he use it here? Yes,
it is in mid
here
lane.
It comes. Harold makes his return.
Oh, he's angry. She's angry. Nice hook.
Oh man, that arrow was gigantic. Able to take out Pawn before the fight even starts.
He's going rampant onto that turret, but still does not
couldn't even take it out.
But it does do more than enough damage with that charge that some couple of auto attacks on the next visit will take down the turret. So in the end, not the worst use of Herald, but Pawn, he gets taken out by the hook, but he's already feeding, so not a huge deal. He's just going to go into the side lane. He's going to catch back up, use that teleport to keep trying to catch back into this lane, and you just got to leave him alone and try to hope that he's farming effectively.
So, I mean, Prey was bought by himself, and they were looking to rotate down and kill him, but instead they find the blue buff. We'll take that away from BDD. Take a little bit of pressure off that mid lane.
And that pressure is what is buying Longzhu time right now. The fact that they took down that mid lane turret so early on means that they had so much access going into the jungle. And the arrow here from Prey finds Pawn right away. Shockwave immediately into the hook or play. Textbook arrow engage, really.
Yeah. Prey, I mean, he's played this champion a lot, I've heard. And it looked like Cuz did pay for it with his life because he went in for the kick. But either way, they stopped the push, and that's really what matters. That mid-tier 1 is still alive.
And mid-tier 1 is probably one of the most important turret in the game. That tower opens up the map so much because the minion waves have to crash further. You have kind of a less area to retreat. And at that area will make a difference here in the vision that Longzhu can acquire. See how comfortable they are with pushing forward and starting to set up vision for this next Fire Dragon. And the Fire Dragon here, man, I'm loving the fact that we're getting so many Fire Dragons these days.
Yeah, Longzhu, they've had some pretty good RNG in both of these games. I mean, they had that one Cloud Drake, I believe, but outside of that, it's been all mountains.
Basically everything
Infernals.
but mountain for wind.
Yeah, everything but Cloud and Ocean. And uh-oh, KT, they really want that turret, but it's just not working out for them. Here comes Galio, and finally chums the water, hits something. Prey looks like he finally will pay the iron price. In comes Khan in the back, will pick up Mata, so 1 for 1 for now. Cuz getting a little bit low, will jump to safety onto BDD. And that's all that will come out of it, just a 1 for 1 trade. But definitely taking out Prey is a pretty nice catch for KT.
Perhaps they're feeling to try to engage onto this. Khan is in the backline, and Shockwave is available.
Does make
there it is.
Look at that! Gonna just destroy that guy, and Pawn getting very low as well. Score forced to flash away. There's the double kill onto BDD. All you guys who are asking all of Spring Split, where's BDD?
There he is.
There he is.
He's in the studio. He's playing. He's playing some good League of Legends and 2 games of Orianna. Literally the most, I'd say probably the best mid laner, or Orianna. She's just so standard. She really teaches you all the fundamentals you need to know about League of Legends. And here, the Blade of the Ruin King onto the blue Ruin. It's a great flash fish from Prey, but as soon as that kill goes through, they keep trying to go for more, but every ultimate got blown from the get-go, and they still greed out. They're trying to go for more. They feel desperate. They know they're behind, even though the gold is only about 2K difference.
And Longzhu looks low. Like, a lot of their members are low, and Deft and Pawn are full health, so it's like, oh, okay, we can take out this turret, but they weren't expecting come from behind. The perfect shockwave here. BDD, he doesn't have to have full health to make that happen.
You always have to count the ultimates if they're still available in any fight. And so they did not account for Orianna still having Shockwave, and easily cleans up everybody else. And as a result, Longzhu get a Fire Dragon under the belt, and Fire and Mountain adding up to themselves means that they're poised to make some great moves around Baron in the next couple of minutes.
Looking so good. I feel like the only mistake we've really seen from this Longzhu side in this game was Prey not flashing the Fizz ultimate. He flashed afterwards, but outside of that, I mean, he still opened up that fight to happen and did pick up the kill. Did go positively for Longzhu anyway.
However, KT does have the saving grace that they get to play the great 1-3-1 with Galio and Fizz, and even though the 3-man unit in the mid lane is not that crazily effective, they do have 2 teleports available to none from Longzhu. So if they're looking to make any moves to try to come back into this game, it's got to be now. The double teleport can be used so well to outnumber anybody, and it would be disappointing to not see them pull the trigger on it.
Longzhu not confident to take that trade. The immediate disengage. And we're getting a good look at bottom right now. I saw them trading a lot, and you can see the power of Galio. Takes those good trades, really draws Jarvan to very low on his mana, makes it hard for him to constantly wave clear against that push of Galio.
And it's because Jarvan has not gone with any magic resistance right now. He got far ahead in the laning phase that he just was comfortable buying full damage, and he's just going to get taken down real easily here.
Oh, he tries to get away there, but not quite.
Oh.
So much damage coming out here. Meanwhile, Mata picks up a kill. Looks like there was some action in mid, but no kills happened.
So you know that when you're getting dove by a Graves into the turret, you can actually dance around the entire turret and he can't actually hit you. So perhaps a better choice would have not been to drop the Cataclysm and try to keep anybody trapped because the aggro was on Smed, but to dance around the turret and try to slow down the damage. CP is out, gets canceled though. Oh no, it does not.
Yeah, it's coming through. Cuz is actually too far away to finish that Q. Looks like a turret went down on the bottom lane in the meantime, so Score getting objectives as all of this happens, and Longzhu going to take a very passive route afterwards and just try to disengage. No kill on Japan, and they lose a turret for it. So KT making a case for them to come back into this game.
Well, they're only 500 gold down, so this is still anybody's game, even though the kills are definitely in the favor of Longzhu. The turrets are not, and we'll take another look right here at this dive. As soon as he blows Playful Trickster, you know you're in trouble. And so the shockwave comes through. Luckily, the fish stops Lee Sin from engaging right away, and he's capable of just getting out. And Gallia, he doesn't have enough damage to kill anybody on his own, at least not the Lee Sin.
Yeah, nice dodge by Cuz, making things interesting. And yeah, I mean, even though on paper, you go look up at the top, you know, Longzhu's only ahead about 400, 500 gold. It's at the same time, they have two Drakes, really fantastic Drakes, one Mountain, one Infernal, and also Fizz at this point is still basically useless. I mean, he does a bit of damage, he's got some CC with his ultimate, but compared to the 3-0 and 3 Orianna...
He's not useless though, because in a way, Fizz's gold value and value to the team is really low. But he's split pushing, which means that somebody has to answer him, somebody that is more valuable than him, either Jarvan or Orianna, which means that a 0-4-1 is drawing the attention of either a 2-1-2 or a 3-0-3, which means that the gold advantage for the remaining members of KT is not as bad as it appears. So Fizz, even though he's been feeding, he still is capable of drawing enough pressure and turning the tide in KT's favor, at least to a certain extent.
Yeah, definitely requires the response of someone else, but up here, had he been fed, maybe he could take the 1v1 versus Prey. Not going to be the case right now, just going to be wave clearing. And still the very scary Orianna remains. It looks like Longzhu really wants to push this turret, but again, playing it very slow. It seems like they're kind of, I don't know, losing a bit of confidence in the meantime.
I think they're just being very cautious of the 1-3-1 this time around. The previous game, KT really felt like they just fell apart all over the place, but this time they have to be very careful, because if you misstep against a composition that tries to apply pressure in 3 lanes, the outcome is that they get so much more in return because of the ability to get to attack multiple towers, to get multiple lanes of farm. And so Longzhu is more than fine just playing it slow. They know that they have the area. Look at this, they're already getting a bot lane turret, so there's no need to try to make anything happen when an objective has already been taken. So good communication, make sure that not many cross-map plays are happening. You typically don't want to go for any crazy moves cross-map just because you spread yourself out so thin and it's very easy to get punished in that way.
So finally taking out some of those outer turrets, building in that gold. They still haven't been able to take out top, unfortunately, for Longzhu. We see a bunch of pings towards Garen right now for KT. I think they're just trying to clear out some of the vision.
Yeah, they want to make sure that it's ready, that Longzhu has no chance of sneaking it, and answering Gallia in the bottom lane when the tier 1s have already been taken out doesn't mean a whole lot for any of these teams. Praise is here to try to get some farm for himself, not so much to just try to prevent Gallia from doing anything crazy.
So next Drake here is Ocean, is on the map. Prey is 1v1ing this map. Oh, he gets taunted up, but still can get out in time with the Lantern. Score, the TP coming in. From the waters, hits Gorilla. And does just about 0 damage. But they were looking for that engage. Longzhu is able to group up fast enough as a team. And now they're looking for the counter engage. They're on the chase. Very cautiously once again. They're going to get on to Score. The arrow actually hits Galio here. And Khan going super deep. There's the shockwave to line that up, and down goes Deft. And that is a huge amount of damage taken away from this KT lineup. Now Snap all alone, a double kill, another one here for the Orianna as BDD really beginning to pop off.
And that's a great wombo, and the call is straight towards the Baron. Score does not have flash, and there's really nobody on KT side that can get into this Baron pit and try to defend what Longzhu is trying to do. 2 kills in the mid and late game is almost always going to be an objective that is as big as possible. Longzhu recognize that Baron is available for them. They're going to be able to walk away with this one scot-free, and that is also going to be a tier 1, whereas KT have nothing to answer for themselves. Just 2 lanes of farm, and a measly Ocean Dragon at 30 minutes does not mean a whole lot.
So we saw a lot of the communication between specifically Khan and BDD in game number 1, where Khan goes in, he has the confidence, the communication with his mid laner to say, hey, BDD, you've got my back, right? Same thing happens here. Cuz goes in, but then look at Khan come in and go super deep onto Death, and then the follow-up Shockwave. It's
Lashes
so good
to Shockwave in.
So good.
It's like that. You're totally right. The communication right there is so apparent. It happened in that Gank League previous game, you know, when he flashed into the Gragas and the Shockwave was there as well. And that's exactly the kind of Orianna play that you want to see. That is actually just so rarely there, even though in concept and theory, you want Orianna to always have a ball carrier, somebody to be there to really be going balls deep and trying to get that Shockwave into the backline. And BDD and Pan have really been putting the games in to make this duo work.
Yeah, these guys look like they've been playing together for 3 years. It's pretty hard to do that on teams that have been together for a long time. These guys really looking good, at least in this game. You can tell they really put in the preparation against a team as. Now we got a big push in bot. Elixir onto BDD. He's 5-0-3. See how many members of KT he can pop.
There's not a whole lot of wave clear on KT's side, so Pawn forced to recall to try to defend this tower as opposed to trying to take a turret of their own. You know, I think I would have rather have seen Pawn stay in the top side and try to trade an objective. Try to get something in return here. While the inhibitor can stall out,
yeah, it's
a question. It's a difficult choice,
yeah,
because if the defense is confident, they can call out Pawn to stay. But if they're not confident in defending the tower, then very clearly he needs to base, because once the first inhibitor falls without a lot of wave clear, then it can go downhill. But I think you ultimately, as a top laner, when you're split pushing like that, you just want to hide. You want to make sure that you can put your opponent, throw them off guard, and tell them, am I recon to try to answer? Am I staying on the push? You just don't know, and you force them to make a decision, and then you can react and respond. And if they play their cards incorrectly, then you can get your advantage.
Longzhu very slowly trying to push in these lanes, but really making no big commitments to an inhibitor turret. Now rotating up into top, they've pushed both mid and bot into a decent spot to where they can pressure this top lane and be okay with where the lanes are. Now everybody grouping up with a very big wave up in the top lane. See if they make a move here onto the inhibitor turret.
Lots of wave clear turret will go to half though, and Pawn still looking for a fish from the side. He's going really far back, but will get spotted out by Cuz.
Cuz on the chase. Khan does get taunted, but still gets over. And Pawn, okay, Galileo coming on in. Big taunt, but there's no follow once again. And he will get knocked up. Pawn on the run, and Prey's not even there. He's taking out turrets. Longzhu is just all over this team right now. The arrow comes through. They do barely miss that. Shockwave will knock up Death, and that's going to be a double kill going over to Khan as he continues to go deeper and deeper. Pawn, he's trying to make something happen.
They're just falling like dominoes, one after the other, choosing to go in, and there's just no chance to win a fight like this when you're dealing with a composition that has to be played together. That at least in this skirmish in the early game just doesn't go their way, then the desperation really setting in, and Longzhu trying to make a push for the game here. The Baron is still onto them. Could this be the game-winning push? Teleport goes through, and it likely will be. 3 people down, and Longzhu just completely decimating KT.
This wasn't even close. They 2-0'd them, and they made it look so easy. They're even trying to kill Score on the back of this, and then they'll kill the Nexus. 2-0 for Longju with a huge upset win against KT, but they didn't make it look like an upset.
Not even close. Not even close. It's KT, what were they doing in the break? Because they look so disjointed in this match.
I don't know, man. That's really hype for me because Longju, they had a lot of issues in spring. There's no denying it. There's no avoiding the point, and they come in today as a entirely new-looking team. And they got 3 new players playing with them, with that veteran bot laner, and they absolutely crushed this lineup of KT.
And even